In the evening. I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order, Wednesday, December 14th, 2011, here in the Council Chambers at 790 Homestead Boulevard. And tonight, we have the privilege of Pastor Samuel Sullivan from the Greater New Mount Zion Church is going to give us our invocation, and yours truly is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Samuel, we'll all rise.
Let us bow our heads. Almighty and merciful God, we thank you in this Advent season for the very breath of life which you have allowed us to enjoy up until this moment. Now, God, bless this august body. Bless the mayor and the council persons, the entire constituency of the department heads. And, Lord, please have mercy and blessings upon the entire constituency which all of the council persons serve, that we may work together to make our city the greatest city to be found anywhere on planet Earth. And we all say, amen.
Amen.
Our God, our Creator, every other whole work art. That will art. I'm going to vote. Please stand on.
Please join me in paying respect to the greatest country in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order on. Right face. Forward march.
Please be seated. Okay. Good evening, Madam Clerk. Again, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick.
Here.
Councilman Maldonado.
Here.
Councilman Shelley.
Here.
Councilwoman Woolman.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Burgess.
Here.
Mayor Bateman.
Here. Okay, first item, we're going to open up to public comment. That is what we respectfully review first. Please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Rene Infante, 24420 South Dixie Highway, Miami. Homestead 32032. So we're very close. I own Bargain Town Flea Market, Redland Market Village, and I'm here tonight. First of all, I want to thank you for hearing me. Second, I would like to request the city. Mike, you want to give out some of the packages to each one of them?
Sure, please, come forward.
It's a very simple petition. We have created, over the last 20 years, over 450 jobs, families making a living out of our venture. 55 families reside in Homestead. The petition that we're asking you to do is to ask, as a city, as a neighbor, to the USDA to include our property, which, by the way, is across the street from their geographic map. And that way, after the process, we will be able to create jobs. We plan that being part of the USDA geographic area map will allow us to expand and to create this coming year, 2012, an additional 75 jobs on top of what we have, and will also help us maintain what we have. So Homestead is really our neighbor. A lot of people visit us from Homestead, and I think we both benefit. We know that South Dade is so intertwined that whatever happens north of us or south of us is really affect us very much. So I felt that would be very appropriate, and you guys would understand very much what we are trying to accomplish and what we have done in the past. So I would ask you to please endorse, ask, or place a petition from the USDA as a city to allow us to be part of their geographic area. It's just a petition, and that will allow us to create jobs. So, I think.
I thank you for creating the 75 jobs that you've already created, and I think what we'll do is allow staff to look into it, and staff report back to us by the next CAL meeting that we have, which is a couple weeks from now, and we'll find out what it's all about and what we need to do to partner, if any, if it's a signature, whatever it is. I know I'm fairly familiar with USDA now because we oversee the Housing Authority, which is USDA is partners in that along with HUD, and we don't do any more other than facilitate the board, appoint the board, but every USDA component needs to have a town or a city nearby. I understand
Exactly.
what you're saying here.
Exactly.
So allow our staff to look it over.
Exactly.
They'll reach out to you, and if we can help network, with you for you to get this different title that you need, we'll be more than happy to help you.
I appreciate it.
Our council will look at it.
Thank you. And if any of you all have any questions, my phone is on the, my telephone or my email is in the application.
So let us kind of go through it all, and I promise you that we'll definitely get back in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Okay. Next public comment. Hey, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Larry Deal, 1670 Egret Road. I'm chair of the Audubon Villages Homeowners Association, and I have with me Mark Constable, the chair of the Villages of Homestead Overall Association Homeowners, and Yvonne Knoll, board member of the Overall Association as well. In 1979, the developer of the Villages of Homestead added an entry feature, as so many Florida developers do, that included a waterfall, and it was a very pretty spot. Brides would often come and have their pictures taken. I presume they brought the grooms as well. And over time, it became difficult to maintain. The Homeowners Association maintained it for a time. The city would come in and trim the bushes and mow occasionally. By the late 1990s, the spot had fallen into disrepair, and by 2002, no one could afford to keep the waterfall up, and it was shut down. The spot has languished. What we'd really like to do as a homeowners association is maintain it, but we have no legal right to spend the money on it. The Gardens Club had planted flowers over time. Our landscape gardeners for both homeowners associations had occasionally trimmed and mowed. What we're asking the city to do is to consider a long-term lease, as everyone agrees the spot should be maintained, and we'd like to do that. But to legally spend the homeowners' monies, we need some sort of legal right to do that, and we thought a long-term lease might solve that problem. We can't commit to putting a waterfall back because the cost may be too severe. We don't know until we've assessed that. But over time, both organizations have spent money. We have money in our budgets, and both organizations have committed to maintaining it. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Councilwoman Waldman for her long-term commitment and care and efforts in this project, as well as the enthusiasm of the current city administration, of Mayor Bateman, and of Councilman Burgess as well. So we want to thank you, and I'll turn it over to my colleagues.
Yvonne Knowles, 1697 North Golden Eye Lane, Vice President of the VOH, Villages of Homestead Overall Board. I think what's unique about our request is we're not asking for money, we're asking you to let us spend our own money. So we'd like to go in there and do the work on the waterfall, make it beautiful again. It is an entry feature which is important for us, which is on North Canal and Farm Life Road. Right now, if you go in, you see the Big Keys Landing sign, but you kind of miss the Villages of Homestead sign, and we want to bring that back to some prominence as it has been in the past. So all we're asking for you is the legal right to work on that waterfall. Whether it stays waterfall or whether it becomes a planning feature, that's something we have to decide when we see the actual cost of repair. But we'd like to have the right to do that. That's what we're asking for. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mark Constable, 1647 Egret Road. In case you haven't driven by the waterfall, to show you our commitment, we have just spent $3,500 in pressure washing, giving it a good acid treatment, cleaning all the muck out of the waterfall, and trying to determine what the actual problems are. I've been in touch with 2 or 3 companies that do waterfall repairs or build new waterfalls, and we are committed to doing this because we have budget money in our budgets for both the homeowners associations, and we do have reserves that will also be able to maintain this waterfall. That's all I have.
Mayor, if I
Thank you, Mark. Yes, please.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I feel a deep personal relationship with this. Now, y'all told me I wasn't allowed to say fountain, and you're calling it waterfall. We had a standing joke that I wasn't allowed to say any F words tonight. But the slash waterfall fountain garden spot, for years we thought that we owned it, the Villages of Homestead. You know, we thought we owned it, and then we found out we didn't, and then we begged the city to give us an opinion. And how many times, Julio, have you and I stood on the corner and looked at that place? But we're not talking about a big piece of property. We're talking about a very small piece of property. It's a sliver of a corner. And I would really appreciate if my colleagues would allow us, now that we finally have an answer, thank you to the management staff, that the city does own it, that we will be allowed to lease it from the city and do what we have to do. We don't even have any Christmas decorations, nothing up there, you know, because we've just been put on the side for so long. So, Mayor, thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. I know.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
No.
I know. I was just going to say we had several meetings, and I think it's this council that actually, you know, did the extra step and actually found out who owned it, and followed up with the homeowners association, several meetings, and actually delivered the information that you've been looking for 10 years plus. So I'm all in favor of really delivering it up to you for $1 a year or whatever the staff feels is and the legal department feels is fair. Mr. Williams.
No, I was just going to echo that, that I'm very in support of this, and that whatever the process is, we can start to work on it. I'll be very amenable to it to support my colleague in the Villages. So you have my support and backing behind this.
Okay, so I know this is under public comment, but can we go ahead and move forward and do something official?
I think what you should do is, if it sounds like there's some consensus, to direct staff to work up a lease agreement or figure out how to do this, and I think that I see 7 heads nodding, so we'll take it with the staff and work out something and get it moving.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mayor, don't we have a rough lease already drawn up, or no?
Don't have a rough estimate on work activity yet. We like I said, we spent $3,500 just getting it cleaned
But the
up.
lease, don't we have a lease drawn up already, David?
Excuse me, Councilwoman Walden, I've looked at a commercial lease that the city's used before. I'm not sure it's appropriate in this situation, but a long-term lease basically would give us the right, with city approval of what we're actually doing there, to put some money into the plannings on it, and if we could afford it, a waterfall.
Okay.
But we didn't want to say that at first because we're not sure what that might cost.
Right. Thank you, and thank you to my colleagues on board. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay, so you've got that. 4 heads nodding, and we'll move forward on that. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to put this thing finally to bed. Happy holidays. Yes, public comment.
Good evening, Ed Powell, 745 Southeast 18th Lane. I'm here with Dan Carter. We're both Kiwanians, and basically what I want to start off. Remember this little thing here, green, from the city called utility bill? Well, there's an item on the bottom that I brought up a couple years ago. It's called hurricane fee, $1.02. Well, how many years has it been since we had a hurricane? 6, 7? Or 6 or 7 years.
So there's $6 or $7 in there.
So Councilman Maldonado was going to check into it, see where that money went. So that's the first thing. And Jerry, I want to thank you. No more utility bills. We've gone paperless.
If I may, the credit goes to Mr. Vega. He's in charge of customer service now, but I'll take the applause, though.
Started the Christmas party events.
My name is Dan Carter, 1702 Northwest 5th Avenue. A member of the Homestead Kiwanis group. I'm proud to be here and represent that organization tonight. There's some in the room that also belong to the organization, including the mayor, and we are thankful for his long-term support. The Kiwanis is going to sponsor a concert January 2nd at Southgate High Auditorium, and the purpose of the concert is to raise scholarship money. We want to be able to give some scholarships over and above what we've done in past years to students of Homestead and Southgate High Schools. And the concert, the group that's going to be here is from Yale University. And it's an a cappella group. It's an all-male a cappella group. They call themselves the Society of Orpheus and Bacchus. And the group has been in existence since 1938. And if you'd like to have a little bit of understanding about that, the Homestead Newsletter had an excellent article this past week that explains a little bit about the history of the Society of Orpheus and Bacchus. But I would like to invite everybody to join us on that night. We have tickets available. I have some here. They're also available at community banks and the law office of John Moss. The tickets are priced at $10. It's a very reasonable price. We'd like to fill the auditorium. We would like to see as many people there as possible. And obviously, the bottom line is it's a benefit to the children or the young people of the community. So I do thank you. And besides the tickets available at community banks, they're also available at the office of John Moss. And I have a few here tonight, too, if anybody would like to see me after the meeting.
And you say, sir, you said that this is for scholarships?
Yes.
Okay. I will donate $100 towards this. What is that, 10 tickets?
Right, that would be 10 tickets, and I can go ahead and get you those tickets this evening.
No, you can give them away, whoever you like.
Okay. All right. And I just would want to mention that our sponsors on this, including Community Bank and TWN Industries, the Kiwanis, and also Mayor Steve Bateman's a sponsor, as well as Mr. and Mrs. David Baronis. So we thank you, everybody, for their support, and we would look forward to seeing many of you there for this concert. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next. Sharp-looking guys.
I would like to pass some papers in right now, so that you guys can see what we'll be referring to in the next few minutes.
Sure.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. We are Anthony R. and Xavier B. 7th grade students at Camel Drive Middle School. we call upon the city's governmental body to resolve an issue
Hold on one second.
an issue of great importance to the students, youth, and citizens in the area of Farm Life Road and Maury Drive. The issue of great importance is the lack of sidewalks and lighting in a small area, the well-traveled thoroughfare within our city.
Over the years, students have had to walk in the streets as a result of the lack of sidewalks or as a result of the grass being wet due to extended rain season. The lack of sidewalks and lighting also create a safety hazard as well. As you know, the movie theater is an attraction for many of the youth in the area. Nighttime movies are a favorite for teens. For those who live in the area, walking home without lighting is dangerous. We ask that you, the City Council of the City of Homestead, address this issue and install both lighting and sidewalks in this area and throughout the city wherever they are needed. Thank you. I'd like to add something else, that on the street where the lights were supposed to be put on, the grass has overgrown, and that's what's making the people have to walk on the street. I would like to ask that you guys could cut and make it put back down so that the people could walk safely without having to walk on the street. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. I applaud you for bringing this to our attention. I try to ride the city once or twice a month to look at things like this, and there have been many situations that I've pointed out so far, and this will be one more we're going to add to the manager's list as we drive around. We'll take a look at, this is 162 Farm Life Road you're referring to here mainly now, right?
Yes.
That's what it says on the map. And you're right, that's a long distance without a sidewalk, very long distance. So I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. I think we're attempting to move forward in the right direction with the new trolley system and new signage for no littering and new trash cans and new benches and things that pedestrians need, because you're right, this is a very large pedestrian community, and we take your suggestion seriously, and we will definitely look into it very quickly. All right?
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Mayor,
Merry
I'm
Christmas.
sorry.
Mayor,
Yes.
Ms. Walden has some first.
I just, thank you. If it's okay, Mayor? I just wanted to say, would you please add to your list, coming from the opposite direction from North Canal and 162nd, the kids that go to Gateway, when they leave there, there's a little tiny sidewalk on the side where the pump station is. Julio, you know what I'm talking about? There's a sidewalk that leads to the pump station, and then it just stops abruptly, and then all the kids that live either in Tennessee Estates, right there, across the street from the pump station, and then all the kids that live in the apartments, I think it's called Sunrise, down the way, they have no sidewalk, nothing. So, and no lighting. So Mayor, if you could add that to your list, I appreciate it. And thank you, gentlemen. That was such a good, I don't know what happened to them, but such a good presentation. You did a great job, and we need more people like you, more youth like you, that comes before us and tells us what we need to do. So thank you.
Mayor, just one other.
Sure.
Is on Maury Drive between US 1 and Farm Life 2. You can go and walk and look at both sides of the road and see a worn path in the dirt. So while we're out there looking around, I know that we're getting ready to look at big projects in the city. And I think that whole area over there needs one. And then I'd be mistaken if I didn't say that the city needs to go back and revisit one on Kingman Road, just to the north of Northgate and stuff, where we're putting a temporary one where the roots and all have grown up and almost made the sidewalk that the city put in as a temporary, hoping that there would be some development there. It has become almost impassable. And we've got a gentleman over there that's using a wheelchair now that has great difficulty going up and down there, and I'd hate to see the city become liable for something that we've put out there that's become dangerous. So I know we're all working hard, but just throw a couple of those things on the list also.
Mayor.
Thank you.
I want to thank Mr. Wambles. They left already. I'm sure with the time they had to get back to school. Mr. Wambles is also on the education on the committee for the education committee, and I think what he he had mentioned some issues that the kids were having, and I just said, listen, they're citizens of Homestead. They have the right to come before us and ask this council to look into this matter. So I applaud Mr. Wamble and his group of students of, I forget the name of the organization that they belong to, but I just wanted to give them thanks for coming up and coming forward and making us aware of a situation that they're going through. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further public comment? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion of the council meeting, and I'd like to move to the next item, which is additions, deletions, and deferrals, and I'd like to actually defer that down the line if we could, if council has no objection, because there are some items I'd like to get to here before some of the other public, actually have to go or are just kind of tired of waiting. So if you have no objections, I'll move past that, and I'd like to move past special presentations and consent agenda. Is that a problem, Richard? And move right to tab 19. And let's start with tab 19 while we still have a half a dozen of the citizens left here now who want to hear this item. So we're going to skip straight to tab 19. It's a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Homestead for amending the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan. Richard?
Amending the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan by amending the regulating sub-area zoning regulations and permitted uses for approximately 357 acres on property located east of Southwest 157th Avenue, Redland Road, west of US 1, south of Southwest 320th Street, Maury Drive, and south of 328th Street, Lucy Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm going to quickly read the quasi-judicial.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment on any of these items, please indicate the item number you'd like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff has made their presentation on each item. Swearing in all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony will be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public do not permit to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. First agenda packet on each item is here read into the record. Persons representing organizations must first present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Okay. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications. At this point, we're just going to deal with tab 19. And at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, you can proceed with item 19.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to move it on. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Okay, staff report.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan amendments, which would permit the use of recycling centers and junkyards within the industrial sub-area, permit the use of funeral homes within the traditional multifamily neighborhood mixed use and downtown mixed use sub-areas, and permit the use of churches or places of worship within the traditional single-family, multifamily, and neighborhood mixed-use downtown sub-areas.
Questions from council? Mr. Williams, have you had a chance to?
No, yeah, Mayor, that's what I was going to say. I'm meeting with, well, I have Monday open in my schedule to meet with, what's your name?
Joe Cordy.
Yeah, Development Services, yeah, on Monday, if his schedule is amenable to it. to go over the entire Southwest master plan. But I am in agreement with these changes as it relates to the second reading on this ordinance.
Okay. Any further questions from council? Hearing no further questions, I will now open the public hearing, and please proceed towards the podium and speak either in favor or opposed. The public hearing is now open.
My name is Thomas Smith. I own property at 580, I believe it is, Southwest 10th Avenue. I received a letter. I don't understand quite yet. I'll go to the meeting with Pastor Williams to understand it better, but I would have appreciated if more would have been placed in the letter. We made a call, found out about some of what was what. I don't understand why there are certain commercial properties that would not be allowed on the busy streets. And so I'll take that up with Pastor Williams at the time. What is the hour that you plan to have that meeting?
What I would do is get with the Development Service Department, and then I will get with the Development Service Department tonight, and then if you allow me to give you a call tomorrow, that will be helpful for me, if I can do that, if you allow me to do that. Can I say something there?
Sure.
The reason why we are here tonight dealing with this particular ordinance is because there are some minor kinks in the Southwest Master Plan that are not amenable to certain businesses to expand their businesses. And so what we have done, or what I have asked the council to do, is to go back and revisit some of those issues that will allow businesses to expand and also flourish. But under the current code and conditions, the way the ordinance is written now, existing businesses that were grandfathered in before the Southwest Master Plan would not be able to expand or be able to flourish as they currently are at this moment because of the way.
So at that time, we will have a better understanding.
At that time, we will go through every piece of the Southwest Master Plan to make it a little bit more business-friendly for those existing businesses that are already existing that wish to expand. And so that's...
I won't take any more time. Thank you. We'll talk about it.
That's fine. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Honorable Council members. My name is Melissa Tapanes-Yawez. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Burke, Howardell, and Fernandez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami. I appreciate this time to come before you. I have two issues that I would just like to discuss with you and put on the record. After reviewing the proposed code amendment in detail and working with your staff, and I'd like to thank everybody for working with myself on behalf of my client. I am representing Star Aluminum. They are a purveyor of scrap metal and other recyclable materials located at 175 Southwest 14th Avenue in the city of Homestead. The first issue is that the proposed code amendment, as it is drafted right now, does not provide definitions for junkyards, recycle and transfer facilities. You might all recall from first reading of this ordinance that is the issue that brought us here before you currently as part of an enforcement matter and as part of amending the code. And it's also the issue that brought my client and myself before you and before this council back in 2008. So I would like to, after speaking with staff, I understand that I have their commitment to work with us when the council reviews the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan amendments holistically, and I understand that Councilman Williams will be doing that, but I do want to put on the record as I did back in 2008, that this is an issue that continues to affect business owners within this area. So it is my true hope that we can work together to provide these definitions so that these business owners can avoid the status quo, which is code enforcement issues and a lack of consistency when applying the code. So I wanted to put that on the record. The second issue that I wanted to ask of this council is for your reconsideration of the requirement to require at minimum an 8-foot tall masonry wall. My client has received an initial proposal for what an 8-foot masonry wall would cost, because we will be going through the special exception process subsequent to our hopeful adoption of this ordinance, and it's about $130,000. We believe that there are more cost-efficient and creative ways to deal with screening. For example, my client currently has a chain link fence with screening materials, which is opaque, and if you drive by my client's property, you'll see that it's a very clean facility, as opposed to the other facilities within that area that do have the CBS wall, which are consistently plagued with vandalism and have the appearance of a penitentiary type of aesthetic. So we're hoping that because now, as the code is being amended, it requires both types of facilities, the junkyards and the recyclable and transfer facilities, to go through the special exception process, which requires public hearing at the Planning and Zoning Board level as well as back before you at City Council. So I would recommend and ask for your reconsideration of this at minimum 8-foot CBS wall requirement, and ask that you consider amending the code to provide for appropriate opaque screening at least 6 feet in height as approved through the special exception process at public hearing as an alternative. There's a lot of new technology that my clients throughout Miami-Dade County are using, including the concrete panels that you see as screening in the highways, which are great buffers and cost efficient. There's also the metal type fencing, which are attractive and more consistent with the actual use. So I would ask for flexibility coming forward through the public hearing process in the future to provide the city what it requires, and something that will go through the approval process regardless. So those are my 2 comments. I thank you for your time, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Williams.
I think Councilman Shelley added that 8-foot wall.
I asked that it be made consistent with the rest of the code, and the current code was for 8-foot walls.
Okay.
And so I did it, yes.
Okay. But if you don't have any objections to it, because I want to still respect what you've put into the document of what, I'm not sure what they were saying, but you're still comfortable with the 8-foot?
Yeah, I stand by my prior motion and our vote from first reading.
Yes, sir. Floor is yours.
Morgan Cronin from the Law Office of Morgan Cronin at 211 North Chrome Avenue. My clients are Joe's Junkyard and Phil's Scrap Metal, 2 of the facilities that have been operating as scrap metal recyclers and junkyards for many years, and adjacent to the property of Star Aluminum. And we have warmed to the idea of the zoning change that the council's been considering. It is, of course, never a great thing to have a new competitor open that next door to your business, but we understand that that's a healthy business environment to have, fair competition. And there are 2 issues that were raised by council that preceded me. The first being the wall, well, the most important one being the wall. And I would suggest that the purpose of an 8-foot masonry wall is far more than simply an aesthetic consideration. The operators of the junkyards that are there are all too familiar with police calls in the middle of the night for people who are going over the wall, hopping over the wall, and that's an 8-foot wall, and stealing metal from inside, throwing it over the wall onto the sidewalks and running off with it. That sort of thing happens not infrequently. A fence or an opaque chain link or something like that is much more permeable, much easier to penetrate, and would create a much greater access to that sort of activity. Wouldn't even have to go over the wall. 6 feet is a lot easier to scale than 8 feet. And there is certainly a public health consideration to having that sort of thing happen, but obviously the attraction of the
the scrap metal business is that there is value to that material, and the same value going in is attractive to the people who would illegally remove it in the middle of the night or weekends or the times that are that's possible. So the materials are frequently dangerous. Rusty metal, sometimes exposed to who knows what sort of substances. It might be toxic, and frequently when those incidents occur, that metal is left out on the sidewalks, out in the streets, and it could create a public hazard if it were even more accessible and more frequent. So I think that the purpose of a masonry wall is to provide a secure perimeter to keep the materials inside, to secure the entire facility, not simply an aesthetic one. Certainly, a masonry wall is subject to graffiti or whatever, and that can be addressed in a way that, I guess, frequent painting, and I think there are from time to time code inspections that address that sort of issue. The other issue, of course, is I think that was addressed was the definitions of junkyards and metal recyclers, and I would submit to you that they're not vague or ambiguous. They are what they are, and the businesses who have been there for many years have been operating under them with a clear understanding, and have been working with code enforcement and the other agencies, including the Metro-Dade Police, who come out from time to time to enforce their ordinances. And it's clear what the expectations are, what the definitions are. And I would suggest that both the wall issue and the definition issues would be certainly can be addressed, but not appropriately through this zoning modification that's being considered. So we'd ask you to pass the zoning change as you had contemplated, but leave in place that secure structure, an 8-foot masonry wall. Now, there may be some substitute, some technology available in the form of some precast concrete or something like that that would offer a similar secure structure, but certainly 8 foot would be a minimum that would be secure, and concrete would be the preferred material to provide that sort of security. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any further public comment? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion. And final questions from council. Hearing no final questions, I'll call the clerk, please. Roll call, ma'am.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to skip again to one item requested by Councilman Wallman, number 23, a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a second amendment.
Mayor?
Yes.
I have a conflict of interest with this resolution.
Oh, okay.
And so I have to excuse myself because I'm involved with the principles of short development.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I could respectfully suggest that while Councilman Williams is out, we also deal with the item on the charter school, because he has to step out on that item as well, which is a quick approval of which the CRA just approved. It's just a motion. If we could deal with both of those things while he's out.
That defeats the purpose of why I deferred it, because then that puts me out.
Okay. Perfect. So
Let's leave that to the end. I'm going to leave Mr. Burgess with that.
Yeah.
Richard.
Okay. Let's just do this. Let me read it then. Sorry. Resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a second amendment to the agreement for the sale of fill between Shores Development, authorizing execution of the second amendment by the city manager, providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, staff?
Gail Sirota is here to deal with this item.
Oh, staff.
Good evening, Mayor Bateman, council members. This is a second amendment to an agreement that extends the termination date of an agreement which was signed in 2004. In 2004, the city sold 1.3 million cubic yards of fill to Shores Development. We sold the fill in the ground as is, where is, and at that time, Shores had signed a contract with Redland Company to excavate their fill. Subsequently, Redland, who had a license to do the excavation at the lake site, violated some permit restrictions, and was ultimately removed from the site and is no longer able to excavate. Shores was unable to get its fill out, and in 2008, we extended the agreement and gave them until this December 31st of 2011. But at this time, the city has not yet engaged anyone or approved anyone to excavate the fill, and so Shores has asked for a further extension so that we can work out the issues with getting their fill out of the lake. So this amendment really only extends the termination date from December 31st to March 31 of 2012. And during the next 3 months, we probably will need to work out the issues to enable them to get their fill out of the lake site.
Okay, questions?
Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have a question. I just wanted to make a statement. The whole thing was just really unfortunate. I mean, when it all started, then it was like a domino effect. You know, affected one entity, then it affected the next entity, and then the next. And believe you me, we've had many long drawn out discussions about it. And Shores Development, they just couldn't. They wanted, and they couldn't sell their fill. You know, their hands were tied. So I mean, I just want to put it on the record that I don't have any problem extending this. I actually thought it would be a longer extension, but I understand now that the 3 months, and then we'll work on that. But they have every right to sell their fill, and I don't think we should prohibit them from doing that. So thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? I have one. In the next 3 months, Mr. Oda, will you do your best to try to sell him the entire fill? The entire quarry will take about $19 million for it. What do you think? Anyway, I don't have any problem. I think it's great. Rock is rock. It's not spoiling, right?
Absolutely, Mayor.
Okay, any final questions? Anything else? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Does the public have any comment on this? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council? Okay, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Richard, should we have taken 20 while we were on 19?
It's a companion item, and we can, but you didn't. There was no requirement that you.
Let's go ahead. The quasi-judicial zone and item 20. Ordinance of the City of Homestead amending the City Code of
Ordinances by amending Chapter 30 zoning, Article 3 District Regulations, Division 23 Plan Urban Neighborhood District, Section 339662 sub-areas of Southwest Neighborhood Planned Urban Neighborhood, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, conflicts, and effective date.
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, staff. Mr. Dennis, would you wave Jimmy back in? Please.
Shall I proceed, or would you like me to wait for the council member? Is waiting.
Probably put it at the background. Probably put it at the background. Is the screen?
Go ahead. Go ahead. He obviously doesn't want to. Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the Southwest Plan Urban Neighborhood Code amendments, which would permit the use of recycling centers and junkyards within the industrial sub-area, permit the use of funeral homes within the traditional multifamily and neighborhood mixed use and downtown mixed use sub-areas, and permit the use of churches or places of worship within the traditional single-family, multifamily, neighborhood mixed use and downtown mixed use sub-areas.
Okay. Questions from council? Hearing no questions from council, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? I'll close the public hearing. Seeing none, hearing none. Final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess? Yes. Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. Have we pretty much satisfied everybody, I think, right? We're good to go? Good to go. Okay. Let's move back to the front of the agenda to special presentations. Special presentations, I think that our first item on the agenda is Florida Power and Light presentation. Mr. Ferre, the podium is yours, sir. We are honored to have you here tonight.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. The honor is mine. Thank you very much, members of the council, city attorney, staff, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ramon Ferrer. I'm area manager. Thank you. For Florida Power and Light. The address of our company is 4200 West Flagler, Miami, Florida. I'm very proud to serve this community for many years, and I'm here to provide you with an update on some of the initiatives that we are undertaking at Turkey Point, which are of importance to this council and the community in general. It's been almost 2 years. With me today, sorry, I forgot to, is Mr. Rob Reagan, who is our project manager of development for Florida Power and Light, in charge of nuclear projects. It's been almost 2 years since the last time we were before you to give you an update on this project, and a lot has been going on at Turkey Point. First, we're going to talk about two initiatives that are going on parallel that have nothing to do with each other. One of them is we're working on $1 million upgrade of the existing nuclear units, like the nuclear professionals like to call it, an upgrade of the existing units. And what does that mean? That means that all the major systems in the plant, for those of you who had a chance to visit Turkey Point, which I thank you for, such as the transformers, the heat exchangers, valves, condensers, steam pipes, generators, everything that's considered to be a secondary plant is going to be replaced. And this is expected to improve the capacity, but also the plant's efficiency and reliability and efficiency. Now, the project is expected to bring significant economic developments to this area. I'm happy to report that the normal workforce that we have at Turkey Point Nuclear of about 800 people has swelled to another 3,200 workers that are now at Turkey Point. And by the end of January, we expect about 5,000 workers that will be there. Many of them are from South Florida, but they will be renting homes and apartments and shopping and eating in the city and contributing to the economic development of this area for several months while we do these upgrades. And we calculate on the average, our Turkey Point contractors spend approximately $2,300 to $2,400 a month. That translates in about $11 million per month being spent by these workers collectively in the Homestead and Florida City area. So once we complete this, all the upgrades that we're planning to do in the Turkey Point power plant, as well as in our St. Lucie power plant in South Florida, we expect that we would produce the same amount of additional power equivalent to about 6 million barrels of oil that will be practically eliminated and substituted by efficient nuclear power. Now, the other project that we're here to share with you today is the proposed expansion of our nuclear fleet by adding 2 nuclear units at Turkey Point, a project that we undertook about 4 years ago when we started all this. It's a project known as Turkey Point 6 and 7. I want to take this opportunity to thank this mayor and this council for the support that we've received from this project. Specifically, Mayor Bateman earlier this year went to Tallahassee, participated in the Conference of Mayors, and promoted this project as an economic development engine for this community with all legislators in Tallahassee, and on behalf of Florida Pond Light, every single hardworking man and woman there, we want to thank you for your support, as well as the council. And to tell us a little bit more about what we're doing on Turkey Point 6 and 7, I'm going to call my colleague, Rob Reagan, to come over and share with you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Ramon. As Ramon said, my name is Rob Reagan. I'm a manager of project development for the Turkey Point 6 and 7 project. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay, thanks. So Homestead is in the region of this project, which is proposed at our existing facilities. Our current plant property is about 11,000 acres, just about 9 miles east of here. We're proposing to expand that property to add the 2 new nuclear units that Ramon mentioned. We have 5 existing units that are at the site. 2 of them are nuclear and 5 are fossil generation. And the new projects will be co-located just south of our existing facilities. In addition, we have about 13,000 acres of an Everglades mitigation bank that was created back in '96, which provides regional mitigation and restoration of wetlands for projects such as ours and others in the state. So the new units are the two 1,100 megawatt units. They're Westinghouse, what is called AP1000 designs. They are designed to be identical for the reactor and central power block facilities. There will be associated facilities such as training, administration buildings. We have some site-specific reclaimed water treatment facilities and pipelines that will be needed for this project, which I'll get to in just a minute. The new units are the latest technology that is available commercially. They are passive designs, which means they can go in the case of an emergency for up to 72 hours without any operator action to keep the reactor core cooled, and that provides additional safety and margin to avoid core damage. This is a substantial project, and there are substantial benefits that will come with this project. In particular, there will be over 3,500 construction workers at peak during the construction period. There will be an additional approximately 3,000 workers of indirect jobs that are created during the construction period. Those are services and other providers that are needed to support the new workers. In addition, there will be over 800 permanent, high-paying technical jobs that will be needed to operate the facilities, approximately 1,900 indirect jobs that will be needed to support those workers and their families. There is a significant benefit to the local community for job creation. We've estimated that it's about a $6 billion impact during the construction of the project for the region, and over the long term, there will be significant fiscal benefits to the county and municipalities of the area on the order of about $100 million each year in additional taxes that are paid combined to the county and the school district. And then importantly, this project is very beneficial economically for our customers. We're currently forecasting about $75 billion of fuel savings over the first 40 years of operation, which is roughly 4 times the initial investment cost. So it's a pretty significant benefit for the fuel portion of our bills. So the new units will be located in the red crosshatched area that you see on the overhead here. That's approximately about a 300-acre site. Then we will need to. There'll be some additional facilities, as I said, new training and administration buildings. Those will be joint buildings that will be used for the new plants and our existing plants. In addition, up on the northwest, still on the plant property, we will need a reclaimed water treatment facility. Our primary source of cooling water for the project is reclaimed water from Miami-Dade County, which I'll get to in just a minute. And this facility is needed to provide some additional treatment and cleanup of that water before we can use it in our plant. So as I said, the primary source of cooling water for the project is reclaimed water. We will need about 60 million gallons a day of water that will be sourced from the South Dade wastewater treatment facility, which is about 9 miles north of the site. This is a win-win for the county and for the project. This water would otherwise be essentially just disposed of, so we're being able to get a beneficial use of that water before it's disposed, and it helps the county meet its ocean and reclaimed water use targets that are needed. We're roughly 50% of what they'll need to have in new projects for reclaimed water by 2030. And importantly, this reclaimed water is in addition to water that's designated for Everglades restoration. The South Dade treatment facility will have additional capacity to supply our project. So the current planned use of reclaimed water for Everglades restoration will still be available. There will be some roadway improvements that are needed to support construction. These are temporary, and they will be removed and once construction is over. There's about 10 miles of roads that need to be improved. They will start in the Homestead city area, 328th Street, and then heading east over to 117th, and then further south, which will lead into 359th Street, which will be a new construction access, which you see here at the south. So those are existing roadways. They will simply be expanded temporarily to support construction. We need that given the number of workers that have to access the site and to ensure that they can do that safely and efficiently. And then there will also be a need for new transmission lines, because the purpose of building the plant is to provide additional power and support to the grid. In Miami-Dade County, at peak, we currently import about 50% of the power from outside the county. These projects, these two plants will help offset the need of that regional power importation. The transmission lines, there would be 4 new transmission lines in 2 corridors. One is a western corridor, Western corridor will run west from the site, it's just south of Homestead and Florida City, over to roughly the Chrome Avenue area, and then north to our Levy substation. That will be the main power corridor for the project. 2 500 kilovolt lines and a new 230 volt kV line will be in that corridor. There's also another corridor which will run initially north and then east into downtown Miami. That project will use mostly existing rights-of-way that we have transmission lines in. There will be some new rights-of-way once we get into the Falls area, and then up along north on US 1 to downtown Miami. I should say on the western corridor, that's all existing transmission rights-of-way that FPL has, with the exception of an area around Everglades National Park, which we are working with them to modify in order to get our corridor outside of the park and still be able to supply the power for our customers. And we are working to provide significant environmental benefits with this project as well. FPL has a long tradition of providing environmental stewardship in the area, and we will continue that with this project. We are at first avoiding impacts to land that has not already been impacted by building in our existing wastewater treatment facility. That cooling canal system is already impacted, and that will be the main acreage that is impacted by the plant. In addition, the cooling canal system currently supports the American crocodile, which has been on the endangered species list. Our cooling canal system and our stewardship of those canals have been credited with helping that species recover from the endangered species list, and we will be adding to the programs, one of which will be, the projects that will be added will be things like the juvenile croc facilities, one of which you see in the picture here. These are important for the young crocodiles to have a freshwater development area during a critical stage of their development. So we'll be adding to those kinds of features and programs. As I mentioned, we have the water story, which we think is a good one. It's a win-win for the environment and for the county and the project. So reusing wastewater we think is a great idea. And in terms of environment, in terms of air emissions, the new projects as a non-emitting technology, nuclear does not emit CO2 gases. So the use of the operation of these facilities, once they are operational, will avoid about 7 million tons of CO2 emissions a year, which is equivalent to about 1 million cars on the road or taken off the road. And there will also be other regional mitigation projects, which we're working with the state and local agencies to develop. So as Ramon said, we've been developing these projects for a few years now, and the upcoming milestones that we're looking at for the licensing of these facilities are shown on this slide. We are currently engaged in 2 main processes of approvals. One is the state approvals, which is on the left, which is the site certification application, and the other one is the federal process on the right, which is with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and cooperating agencies, which give us a construction and operating license. For the state certification, we're coming up on a land use determination with the county early next year, followed by agency reports in the first quarter of next year. Homestead is an agency that is reviewing this application and will be providing an agency report on the project at that time. And then following that, as needed, land use hearing for the consistency determination of the project. And then in late next year, we are looking at a site certification hearing before an administrative law judge, which will provide a recommendation for the project that it is certifiable. And then once the site certification hearing is complete, we would be going before the governor and cabinet for a siting order which grants the certification. On the federal side, there are essentially two parallel processes that are going on. One is a safety evaluation, another one is an environmental evaluation. The safety evaluation is scheduled to be complete in November of 2013, and essentially that is where the issues around plant safety and protection of the public are addressed. The environmental report, which is an environmental impact statement, is scheduled to be complete in February of the following year, and then as needed, hearings are scheduled in mid to late 2014 on the federal side. And with that, I will answer any questions I can.
Well, thank you for the presentation, and you do a lot for this community, and we're very proud of the site and the safety factors that are all involved out there. I've had my field trip, and I know others here have had it, and I feel very safe. You know, the million-dollar question: today's nuclear plant is far safer than the one that we currently have out there, is it not?
The new units do have what the technical term is a core damage frequency. They have a lower core damage frequency probability, and that's based on things like the passive designs, which use natural forces like gravity and heat convection to keep the reactor cool without operator action. So yes, they have a higher degree of safety that are designed into them. But I would emphasize that the current plants are also, safe as well, and have been reviewed as recently by the NRC following the events of Fukushima to not pose any imminent threat to the public.
Thank you. Yeah. Council, questions? Okay. Well, thank you both very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Okay, Mr. Maldonado, recognition of Teacher of the Year finalist. I hope she's still here.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for the patience as we come back to our first presentation. On behalf of the City of Homestead, I would like to take this time to recognize our South Regional Center Teacher of the Year finalist, Ms. Julie Lufer Gonzalez. Will you please come forward? Now, I can tell you that Ms. Nufer here, Ms. Nufer Gonzalez, I've known her since I was about yay high, and I recall a little story that they said that they didn't want me around the house because I was always breaking the light bulbs in Christmas time. So I just want to apologize at this moment for that. But what I would like to do at this moment, she is just won Teacher of the Year for Camel Drive Elementary. She's been there for, was it 18 years already? 18 years in the school, and she's now the reading coach at the school. I just want to take a moment to just read what her principal had wrote. And I'm going to read it as she said it, and then from there I will say a few words and then recognize her. She wrote, Ms. Julie Newford Gonzalez, there is no better candidate for this honor. Ms. Newford Gonzalez is proof that nobody does it better for the students of Miami-Dade Public Schools. She's a teacher to the core in her heart and in her soul. She teaches from the second her foot hits the parking lot until she goes to bed at night. There is one child in our school that doesn't know and love Ms. Newford Gonzalez. Ms. Newford works harder than anyone I have seen in my 18 years of administration. She's in the classroom daily modeling lessons, providing interventions to students, conducting data chats, and assessing teachers with the differentiated instructions. This isn't on occasion, this occurs daily. She teaches every single day. Ms. Newford Gonzalez demonstrates a pure commitment to education, the teacher of profession, student achievement, and professional development. She is a true definition of what a teacher should be: dedicated, committed, tenacious, and cooperative, and always with a cheerful and positive disposition. Nobody does it better. She's dynamic, talented, and innovative teacher who possesses excellent leadership abilities. This has been demonstrated throughout her outstanding performance as reading coach at Campbell Drive K-8. She is able to motivate, mobilize, and organize in a truly exemplary manner, and is steadfast in her approach to all tasks. She freely gives her time during the summer and weekends to ensure that every project is complete. Her personality is such that everyone enjoys working with her. She always has a smile on her face no matter what is asked of her, and believe me, when we're asking more of her, there isn't enough space for me to write all the committees that she serves on. Suffice to say, she is on every committee. She attended CDK,
Used to be Camel
Drive Elementary. As a child, her family continues to live in the community. She is the heart of our school at Camel Drive K-8. Nobody does it better than Ms. Newford Gonzalez, and that's from Ms. Thelma Fornell, which is the principal there. And as I read this, I kind of think of our last teacher of the year that's standing up there as they're elected a councilwoman now, and I could tell you, I guess you could agree, it's a lot of work and time you put in, but it pays off. So with that, on behalf of the City of Homestead, congratulations to Ms. Julie Newford Gonzalez, the South Regional Center Teacher of the Year finalist, in recognition of your leadership and commitment to academic excellence and student achievement. December 2011, and it's signed, it has all the mayor and council's name here. Congratulations, Julie. Want to say a few words? Excellent.
It's very different between speaking to adults and children. But thank you for, I've been waiting for it since 5:15, so I want to first thank my family, especially my boys. I know it's hard after a long day of work, of school and baseball, for you to be here for so long, so thank you. Thank you for your support. I'd like to thank Councilman Maldonado, the council members, and the mayor. This is an honor to me, especially because I grew up in Homestead. I attended Campbell Drive Elementary, Campbell Drive Middle School, Homestead Senior High School. I've lived in Homestead my whole life. I still live in Homestead, and I work in Homestead. I've only worked at Campbell Drive Elementary School, and I think it's the best school. It's no longer Campbell Drive Elementary. It's now Campbell Drive K-8 Center. So, I encourage everyone to visit the school. It's a little gem in Homestead that no one knows very much about. And once again, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday season. And this is going to definitely hold a very special place in my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Julie, before you leave, I just would like to add some comments. I won't say former, because I'm still 2010 Teacher of the Year, I would like to recognize you for this most prestigious award. If anyone knows the difficult task that it is, I understand your pain. I know it's a 20-page packet, 15-page packet. you had to complete. So my hat's off to you, kudos to you, and as my little token of appreciation to you for all that you do in our community, I would like to personally adopt your classroom. If you register with adoptaclassroom.org, I will personally adopt your classroom and let me know the date of your breakfast for Teacher of the Year, the luncheon. I would be honored to be there to support you.
Oh my God, okay, thank you so very much. Thank you. It is a very difficult task, but it's the hardest thing alive, the interview in front of the 12 panel, 12 people sitting in front of you. But yes, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. I'm very grateful. Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you.
Mayor, thank you. I'd like to thank Patricia for that gesture. I've adopted the school since I also attended there as well, and I show up to all the events they have, and I support the school as much as possible. They are a school, our feeder pattern that we're working directly with through the education committee. So again, thank you for adopting the class. And any other council member wants to join into this school and help out, I greatly appreciate it as well. And so with the kids at Camel Drive, thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you all very much. Next item on the agenda is recognition of artist Brian Traynor. Mr. Shelley? Correct. Thank you, Mayor. For the months of December and January, the artist that will be displaying his work in the chambers is Mr. Brian Traynor. He's a photographer. He's self-taught. He has over 30 years of experience shooting and experimenting, as he likes to say, with photography. He's I guess a naturalist when it comes to photography. A lot of the people we've had in here recently have been canvas. They like to print on canvas, and a lot of them are extra bright, a lot of saturation in the colors. And he likes to keep photography true to its roots, and that is photography for the purpose of photography and not to do any kind of digital manipulation. And so with that, I'd like to invite him up to say a little bit about what his work is and what inspires him, and also make sure to give out the information so anyone who's interested in your work can look at some of your galleries you have online and contact you if they're interested in purchasing anything.
I got to apologize. My attorney couldn't show up, so I have to present myself. So I'll try to do the best. I hate talking in front of people like this. My work is, I don't know, it's different. I like to try and tell a story, get more than 1,000 words in my picture. I went to Biscayne. I asked to get a residency. I didn't know what it meant. I tried it, and it worked out. This show's been traveling 2 years. When I went into the park, I go, okay, it's 98% water, so what do you shoot water? And so I started going around and I started looking at all the garbage on the beaches, and rather than taking pictures of the beaches with the garbage, I figured I would show you garbage that I collected and then tell a story about it, because if you go and you see a picture of garbage on the beach, you walk by it, you've already seen it, it's something you've already seen. So I started working that way, and then I started working towards what the beauty of the park was that is being compromised by our recklessness and the way we handle the beaches that we have. I mean, and you know, people say, oh, it's, you know, the boaters, it's this, it's that. I mean, the first day I was on the beach, I found a bottle from New Jersey. So even if we stop littering, there's everybody on the coast, as soon as it goes out in the Gulf Stream and comes around, it hits us. But yeah, this is my my first residency. Right now I have one in Everglades that I finish up this month, and I'll start touring. It'll be here later on, I think in the summer or something, it'll be back. But my name is Brian Traynor. I'll put some cards on the back table if anybody wants to take a look at it. Is there any questions? Anybody? I don't know. Yeah. I got to tell you,
your work is beautiful. Thank you for loaning it to us, and we'll showcase it on channel 74, I think it is.
Okay. But I got to tell you, I bought a camera to be behind it, not in front of it.
There you go.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay, Councilman Wallman, recognition of Bill Duquette.
Bill, will you join me? And Bill's lovely wife Gladys is in the audience tonight. My brother is. I just want to say I have this wonderful write-up of Bill, but basically tonight I wanted to honor him because he's been named the Civitan of the Year, Citizen of the Year Award. or has been given that. And he's so deserving. He does so much with his church. He does so much with the community. I first met Bill when he was at the old Homestead Hospital, and Halloween skit when he was with his assistant Lori, and they were doing Sonny and Cher, and he had my knee pads, and he was Sonny, and and she was Cher, and I mean it was hysterical. And we've been forever friends, and Gladys, family friends. So I appreciate it, and I don't think anybody is more deserving than Bill Duquette. Bill Duquette is the overseer of our community with the hospital, with his vision, working with Bo Bollinger in the beginning. They brought forth a beautiful facility, state-of-the-art hospital, which my mother happens to be in the emergency room right now. So I apologize for texting tonight and being on my phone, but we've been diligently watching over her, and I'm going to be leaving very soon to go to the emergency room. But I just think it's so important that we honor our heroes, and to me, Bill Duquette is a hero because he's always been a very honest, loving, gentle person, but he runs a firm hospital staff, and that I think one of the most important things is that when you have the respect of your staff, you speak volumes, and the staff loves Bill Duquette, and so does the city of Homestead. Thank you so much, Bill, and I'm
Thanks,
sure...
Judy. Just wanted to say, Judy, thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members, George, you guys, I'm not sure how deserving I am of this award. There's many more people, I think, in our community that are probably much more deserving than me. But as I told the Civitan, I humbly accepted it, and thank them for honoring me. And we're going to take great care of your mom. So
He has many times before, so thank you so much. Please pray for her.
we'll do. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Okay. Next item, we're moving on to consent agenda. Motion to move it on.
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Okay. I'd like to pull item 5 and take it separately and vote on it separately. So Richard, do we go ahead and move on with the consent agenda? And then
Yes, which one is it?
Item 5, construction management services.
Tab 5, got it.
Tab 5. Well, item,
Tab 5?
Yeah, tab 5 and number 5 of tab 5. Or item 5, consent agenda number 5, and it says number 5, construction management services, tab 12.
Got it. Yep, vote on the rest of it, and then we'll just take that item out.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay, they all pass. Item 5, we'll go separately on. All in favor?
No, we need a motion to approve.
Motion to move item 5 on. I'm just aware, so I just want to vote a no vote.
Need a second?
Second? Second. Thank you. All right, roll call, just...
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Okay. What happened was that you voted on the consent agenda, but the mayor asked that tab 12 be removed from the consent agenda so it could be voted on separately, and we're now voting on tab 12 separately.
Okay, I kept hearing tab 5.
It's
I'm
just
sorry.
that I don't want my name on there as a yes vote, that's all.
Yeah, no, I heard
It's-
tab 5,
yeah,
so that's why I was...
it's Roman numeral 5 under number 5.
Okay, yes, my vote is yes.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
No.
The motion carries.
Okay. Next item, we're going to move back to public hearings. No, tab 13, items from November 8, 2011 Utility Committee meeting.
Actually, that's all part of the consent.
Okay, okay, good.
So you were right when we said we're going to
Yeah,
move on.
Tad, we're going to move back to the quasi-judicial items. Tab 15?
Yes, tab 15 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the request of Cadel Torres for rezoning from one-family residential district R1 to professional business restricted district B1A for property located at 1401 Northeast 1st Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Motion to move it on?
Move it.
Okay, second. Thank you. Staff report?
Director, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the proposed ordinance requesting rezoning from one-family district R1 to professional business restricted district B1A for the property located at 1048 Northeast First Avenue. This property consists of about 16,000 square foot lot with an existing one-story, 2,900 square foot residential building on it. The applicant wishes to convert the building into a doctor's office. The future land use designation is light commercial use, and the zoning is one-family district R1. These are not compatible. Therefore, the applicant wishes to rezone from R1 to the professional business restricted, B1A. And we believe that this rezoning makes the land use and the zoning compatible, and we recommend approval.
Questions from council? Hearing no questions from council, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 16.
Tab 16 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Ismael Soriano to amend ordinance number 2004-0725 by deleting development order conditions related to the prohibition on the sale and consumption of alcohol and the hours of operation for a 2,436 square foot restaurant located on the southwest corner of Northeast 15th Street and Northeast 1st Avenue, immediately east of Northeast Chrome Terrace, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. It's the second reading.
Thank you. Motion to move it on? Move it. Second. Thank you. Staff?
We recommend that the mayor and council adopt the ordinance modifying ordinance 2004-07-25 by deleting the development order conditions prohibiting the sales, alcohol sales and service, as well as the limitation on hours of operation. In 2004, Soriano Brothers came in and received site plan approval for Zoe's Restaurant pursuant to the ordinance we aforementioned, 2004-0725. Section 4 of the ordinance, there are several conditions placed in the site plan, including those that we stated before: no alcohol shall be served at the restaurant, and the hours of operation shall end at 8 p.m. At this time, the applicant requests that the development order conditions related to the prohibition of the alcohol sales and consumption and the hours be deleted. The conditions need to be deleted in order, or modified by the City Council in order for the applicant to undertake a certificate of use request, which they'll do if you modify this.
Questions from council? Hearing no questions from council, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes your quasi-judicial items. Continuing and moving on to your legislative matters.
Okay.
Tab 17 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Homestead 14 Land Trust for a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of an approximately 6.7-acre parcel from medium-density residential use, MRU, to light commercial use, LCU, located south of Campbell Drive and east of Southwest 167th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. Second reading.
Thank you. Motion?
I move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Staff?
Mayor, we recommend the mayor and council approve the attached ordinance. The future land use designation is medium-density residential, and the zoning is restricted retail commercial. These are not compatible at this time. The applicant is therefore requesting to change the land use from medium-density residential, MRU, to light commercial use, LCU. Due to the current market conditions, the applicant asserts the current residential land use designation is no longer feasible. This change is compatible with the surrounding area, and as well as consistent with our comprehensive plan and growth management regulations.
Okay. Questions from council? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public?
Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We covered 19, we covered 20, tab 21.
Mayor, we need to do 18, I'm sorry.
18?
Yes, sir. 18 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Cato Torres for a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of an approximately 16,200 square foot parcel from medium-density residential use to light commercial use located at 1408 Northeast First Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Move it. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you, staff.
This is a companion item to tab 15, and it's the land use change component of that. So we recommend the mayor and council approve the ordinance requesting a small-scale comp plan future land use map amendment from medium-density residential use to light commercial use for this property.
Okay, questions from council? Okay, open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay, we have 19, 20, tab 21. Motion to approve amendment to the existing purchase. Thank you.
Second.
Second. Thank you, staff.
Mayor, at the October 11th Committee of the Whole meeting, the electric utility informed the council of an expenditure for $64,061 that had been authorized by the city manager under the emergency purchasing policy adopted by the council. The scope of the work included machining the generating shaft up to 5 millimeters to remove cracks. During the course of the repairs, cracks were found to extend deeper than 5 millimeters, necessitating additional machine work. Florida Bearing submitted a quote to perform this additional work. The quote was rejected as being too high, and the electric utility negotiated an hourly rate of $500 an hour, which is inclusive of all labor, material, and equipment required for the additional work. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve an amendment to the existing purchase order number 120209 with Florida Bearing for the repair of unit number 21 generator by an additional $22,000. This amount provides for an estimated 44 hours of additional work at the rate of $500 an hour.
Okay. Questions from council? Okay, hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 22, motion to submit the CPERA to HUD as presented.
Move it.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Staff, report.
Mayor, the City of Homestead receives a community development block grant allocation each year from HUD. At the end of each grant cycle, the city is required to prepare the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report and make it available to the community for public comment. The public hearing allows the community the opportunity to comment on the CAPER, fair housing, and other community development needs. Staff recommends the mayor and council authorize city manager to submit the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development as presented.
Okay, motion to move it on. Oh, did, sorry. Questions from council? Okay,
I have a quick question.
Sure.
And reviewing this package, I'm looking at the monitoring piece because I'm a firm believer in accountability, and you can't expect what you don't inspect. There's a line in here that says, at this time, no formal monitorings have been conducted. Why is that so?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Carlos Perez, Finance Director. With me tonight, I have Nancy Phillips. She's our HUD consultant who helped prepare this report, so I'm going to defer to her on this.
Good evening. The city has just tonight adopted the monitoring standards, so that will be something that will be conducted in the upcoming year to go back and monitor our subrecipients that have been recipients of these funds. This is the first year that the city has really been able to report any accomplishments to HUD because our projects were ongoing, and this is the first time that we finally have some that are totally finished. So now now that the City Council has adopted the monitoring standards, we'll be able to enforce those and be in compliance, which we are already, so.
Okay, any further questions?
Not really.
Please take your time. Take your time.
My final question is, I understand that 5 houses were provided to Galata for, to assist with home ownership for elderly residents, I assume? Is that correct?
Galata is providing the component for the neighborhood stabilization program of rental housing to residents that are 50% or lower of the area's median income. So it could be, in most cases, most of their clientele are senior citizens. So that's who they will most likely be putting into those homes.
Just like to ensure that we carefully monitor the effectiveness of these residents being placed in these houses to ensure that what we're providing is what is actually being carried out. So the monitoring piece is very important to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Other questions? I'll open the public hearing. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. No, I'd like to do tab 24.
There you go.
Mayor, we have Lillian here to brief us on the status of the bowling alley, and we have the principals of the councilmen and their financiers. So, Lillian, do you want to start us off?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, Lillian Arango from the City Attorney's Office, West Rhoda. Since the last meeting we were before you, November 14th, the parties have been working towards finalizing the 2 agreements, the lease agreement and the purchase and sale agreement. There appears to be substantial progress and agreement on most of the terms in those agreements. However, there are a few business or policy terms which the tenant has proposed since then, which we'd like to bring to your attention for direction. Those issues pertain particularly to the tenant's right to change the use of the property. As you know, the current drafts of the agreement provide for the operation of the property as a bowling and family entertainment center for a term of 7 years. The tenant is proposing a change in that use in the event of economic non-viability of the property. That standard has been presented to us for review, and basically it says that if the tenant can demonstrate that expenses, operational expenses on the property are exceeding revenues for 4 consecutive quarters or 2 calendar years or fiscal years, and this would be provided by a mutually agreeable independent CPA firm. If they can show losses and expenses exceeding revenues, then they would establish this economic non-viability standard, which they would like for an automatic change in use of the property. The change in use would go from a bowling and family center to whatever use they deem appropriate that's consistent with the city zoning regulations.
Also related to that issue is what happens in the event of a total casualty of the property. If there's a hurricane, for example, and the building suffers significant losses, the tenant would also like a change of use in that situation in the event that the bowling use is no longer viable or feasible or economically profitable for them. The third issue that's been raised also within the change of use issue is they would like flexibility in the number of bowling lanes that are available there. Right now, it's currently drafted. The lease provides for 40 bowling lanes. They would like to have flexibility to be able to reduce those lanes to a lesser amount if, again, if it proves economically unviable or some other use would be more profitable. I know that the gentlemen are here. I see Mr. Pope, their attorney, the Kaufmans, and some other investors, and they can address that request before you.
And Mayor, just to be clear about what the process has been, the lawyers have been working, I'd say, day and night on this since we last met. It seems like we've gotten everything down. These three particular issues, I really wasn't sure where you all stood on these, so we kind of held them. We have a check that they're willing to present if for $15,000, which would be non-refundable. If both parties agree to these final items, then we'll have the documents, and we could either do a special meeting or do that at the next COW. But in terms of these three issues, the dilemma that we've had in trying to even come to a conclusion on our own is, what if the business isn't successful? You know, how long do you hold them to that? And so we didn't want to be unfair, but we wanted you to have some input as to what your thoughts were and maybe give them an opportunity to express why this is an issue to them. Feel free to.
Okay. Can I start, Mayor?
Please.
All right, Mayor Bateman, Vice Mayor Burgess, City Council, thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Can you hang on 1 second? I just want to talk to our attorney for 1 second. Can you go back over and state what exactly the 4 quarters is, any 4 quarters that they deem for us to go back and check for a failure, for a loss?
As proposed,
it could be the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and boom, they're out of here.
It's 4 consecutive quarters of expenses exceeding revenues. And obviously, there is a startup period in the lease where improvements would be done to the property. That's about an 18-month or 2-year process. So from the get-go, you would not have profits exceeding expenses.
Enough for me. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I guess also just thank...
We have your name and address for the record, please.
I'm sorry, Kevin Sands. I'm with Orion Investments. We're one of the principals working with Berkowitz Technology Band. Ed Cooper is here, working with the Kaufmans to try to put the project together. Wanted to thank City Manager Mr. Gressis for his time trying to get this together, and the City Council, Mr. Rango. I think we've accomplished a lot, and we're really down to one business point that unfortunately we could not solve until we met with the council. Vice Mayor Burgess, we did bring the check for your requests on the $15,000. Basically, what we need to move forward is that, first let me say, the number one goal of all of us is to have a bowling alley in Homestead. We believe in it. We believe in the Kaufmans, who I think you first believed in when they got the proposal to move forward. We are proposing to put a lot of money, approximately $2.5 million, into the center to get it operating as a bowling alley. We have asked for the 4 consecutive quarters of operation if the expenses exceed the revenue, or 2 years of expenses exceeding revenue, that simply the restriction of this use be lifted and we get reverted back to the zoning that is in place for the property. And this is simply for us a business matter where if we are losing money, every single day, every quarter for this extended period of time, that we have the option to be able to get out of this restriction and frankly try to do something on the site that is viable and can recoup some of our lost money. It is not our goal to have this happen. We will no doubt be close to $5 million all in at that time, and on a land use, and again, our company's core competency is in real estate. We've done over $1 billion in the life of the company, and we see every hope that this will be a success. And we're just looking at the case of the business not being viable. We could be stuck then losing our entire investment into the site, or we would be stuck purchasing the property and sitting there for 7 years without being able to do anything. And I hope you believe in us, and we believe in the operators, and that's why we've gone this far in the step to put this substantial amount of money into the deal, where if it's not successful by us, that I don't think it will be successful by anybody. I can attest to the amount of due diligence and time that the Kaufmans have put in, and we believe in them, and we believe with our expertise as well, helping them, that we'll be able to get through it. But in this scenario, we're just looking at the non-viability of the business, that we have an outlet to be able to, recoup some of the money. If the restriction's in place for 7 years, it leaves us no opportunity, if it is not successful, to be able to do anything on the site.
Mayor, may I?
Sure, please, Ms. Wall.
Okay, nobody's believed in you more than I have. I've fought mountains and climbed mountains and even battled along the way, but I have some things I'd like to direct, Mayor, if it's all right, through the city attorney. It's my opinion that even though you want to do this, we can't do this because of HUD. Because in order for you to change use, you have to go to HUD and ask HUD for permission to do this. And
we've discussed that issue with the staff, and it's almost exactly as you said. The difference is that we've analyzed it, and we think that the city has a good argument that the HUD regulations that, first of all, HUD is taking the position that that they would need to approve a change of use, or that if there was a change of use, we'd have to give them the money back, those kind of things. We think that there's a very good argument that they're wrong. But the only way that I would feel comfortable agreeing to any kind of change of use provision is if the city was protected for the HUD contingency. So you're right to remember it. We've talked about it internally with staff. So if you decide to move forward with a change of use contingency, if it's not viable, we would have to put a clause in there that would protect the city, so that if HUD ultimately said, if you change use, then you're going to have to repay the money that was given back, or you can change the use, or something happened, that the city would be protected.
And the amount of money that we're talking about extends from which period of time? Years.
The money would be the money that the HUD put into the Paula Carter bowling lane, which was a significant amount of money.
So do you hear what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking probably millions and millions of dollars, and I just was sitting here and I thought of it, and that's why I asked Mr. Weiss to meet me in the hallway for a second, because I didn't want to say something unless I was sure. But I can tell you, I'm not sure about this, but I can tell you my hunch is that HUD's not going to allow any change of use. So I can understand if you're in a situation and you're seeing the bowling alley is bombing, that you're not making profits. I mean, I sympathize with you there, but there has to be something that we can do at the table instead of this, because this is taking. I couldn't agree with it unless you agreed to pay back. If HUD says no, pay back everything, and then I still want to have some restriction on what goes in there. I mean, we don't want to sell you this bowling alley and then you decide 4 quarters I can't make it, and then open up a drugstore or something. You know, it's there for a reason. And I know I, for one, have fought for 10 years to see another bowling alley come in there, and I am a fighter for you, but. Now I'm talking really straight talk. You know, when you're asking HUD to approve this, I mean, I know the attorney's not going to agree with me, but I think that it's going to be doubtful that HUD's going to allow that. And again, there's a big financial penalty involved. Very
It
significant.
probably would not be a matter of HUD not allowing it. It would just be that they would require a refund of the money that HUD.
Well, that's even worse, because if they say, okay, you can change the zoning, then you're going to have a huge amount of money that you're going to have to reimburse the city for.
Yeah, I guess the biggest issue is you know, if it's not a viable business, and we're happy as well to talk about what is a viable business. If you know, if 4 quarters is not right, if there should be another scenario, we're completely open to looking at it. But we have no outlet, we have no answer if every month we're losing money, and we hit, let's say, that non-viability number, and have it independently audited by a third-party accounting firm. At what point do we? I mean, at that we would be completely out. We would lose everything that we have into the deal if there's no other outlet except to have a bowling alley there. Because we put in a substantial amount of money in order to have this successful. And I don't see another operator coming in.
I understand what you're saying, and I truly, my heart goes out to you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way it is. You know, we're dealing with HUD as well, and I mean, don't make me vote against you tonight, please. I'm staying here with my mom in the hospital, and I'm trying to see if we could go back to the table and talk about this, but I don't understand why. Did you know about the HUD situation? I mean, are you aware of that? Of having to ask for permission, and then if the HUD says yes, then they're going to probably come back and ask for money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, from what I've been, told by our attorney, and I believe in discussion with the city's attorney, that it felt was not going to be enforced. It was.
You don't know that.
I tend to agree. My research and my going back and looking at case law, I agree with what the city attorneys just said, that there were.
But you can't say that 100%.
No,
and we set up here as custodians of the taxpayers.
When Lillian rewrote the document, she specified about when the change of use, about what happens with the grant. Basically, at that issue, it becomes our issue. It's no longer a city issue. We're taking the response. When we come to the city and say, we can't do this, we need to do something else, and we need to sit down with the city to see what we can do, if it comes to that point, the way we're structured right now with what Lillian's written, is we take on the liability of the grant.
You're willing to do that? You're willing to take on full responsibility?
Well,
in writing?
I haven't, and again, I've only seen the documents that I was given, the letters and stuff back and forth. I haven't delved all the way back into, the original grant in 1993 or 94.
Well, I'm not, this is serious business here, because we can't, and I have another question. The 4 consecutive periods of time, when does that start again? When could that start? Initially now?
As proposed by the tenant, it has no start date, so it would start with the lease term.
I couldn't agree with that either, because as you're building the bowling alley, before you're even in business, you have to be financially solvent enough to get to that point before all of a sudden you start counting the quarters. You guys...
No, we understand that. That's
not what I just got from council.
I don't think we fleshed out... When we advanced the idea of the viability, based on an Armageddon scenario that we have a problem, whether it's a catastrophe in Andrew or it's not viable, and that was one of the reasons we were asking about having some flexibility in lanes, because we may be able, bowling centers, and Josh can address this better than I about what's going on in the bowling community, but we were trying to get some flexibility too, in terms of if 25 lanes work or 30 lanes, obviously...
I don't have a bigger issue with that as I do with the dollars and cents here.
Well, the key is if we have some flexibility to work that way, then we have flexibility not to come to say, look, we've got to tear down the building and start from scratch. I mean, this is a worst-case scenario, is what
but we're looking for some way, and we're open to suggestion, and we went back and forth with the city manager and with Lillian, all trying to piece together something that's viable. And I understand your concern with the HUD. Lillian's pretty much addressed that lays back on us. We didn't flesh out the nuances of what you're discussing, but we can.
What about the 4 consecutive quarters?
And again, that's like Kevin said, that's something that's open to discussion to determine what, on both sides, would be considered to be a viable, option in terms of an accounting. I'm not an accountant. That would have to come from someone
Right, what we
like
didn't want
Ed
to do,
Cooper.
we didn't necessarily want to negotiate that on the floor other than to get some sense from you all whether your expectation was that it had to be a bowling alley for 7 years, because that becomes a realistic concern for anybody that would take over the site if the thing it's not profitable. I think it'd be difficult for the city to find anybody that would guarantee running an unprofitable business for 7 years.
I understand that.
But we didn't want to take a lot of time drafting all this language, because we had no direction from council that you would even consider this issue of non-economic viability. I will tell you one thing that we proposed that we had a talk with Mr. Kaufman about was one of the concerns that I had was that basically I think the city's view is that they're getting, because we want a bowling alley, we're giving them the land, we're turning over the land at a advantageous price, and also we're financing it. And so one of the things I said to Mr. Kaufman was, I said, well, Mr. Kaufman, if the bowling alley is non-viable, and there's some issues about that, and you want to change it to a different use, and you want to put a Walgreens there, then what you should do is you should pay fair market value for the land, and you shouldn't get the city financing, and you shouldn't get the advantageous price. That really didn't go anywhere, but I was trying to put them in the position as if they had just purchased the property. I said, well, it's fine. If you want to purchase the property and you don't want the advantageous terms and you don't want the city financing, but the first issue, because again, the manager's right, to negotiate this stuff out in public is not the right way to do this, but you need to give us some direction as to whether a majority of the council would consider a contract from them that contains some sort of an economic non-viability clause. And if we can't get past that point, then we don't need to have any further discussion. If we get past that point, then we can go back to the bargaining table and seeing what we can come up with.
Thank you. I have another question. Let's say they do take full responsibility if there's money owed.
I honestly would not sign off on anything for legal sufficiency. I wouldn't. I mean, I rarely put my foot down this hard, but I would not let you go into any agreement where you were not totally covered if I'd asked back for this money back at all. I mean,
Okay.
that would have to be fully there.
Okay, but here's the rest of my question. Let's say they take full responsibility and then they declare bankruptcy, they disappear.
We would have to have security. We would have to figure out the details that there would have to be security, or they couldn't change the use, in which case
Okay.
it would not trigger any kind of a clawback by HUD.
Okay. And then we have the issue with the 4 consecutive. I mean, I don't think you can say you're not making a profit until you open your doors. So,
Yeah, it's during operation, so not during construction. We're talking about once we've opened the doors.
okay, so so then we're going to change that if it moves forward on council. You're going to change that, right?
So that was the intention.
To help frame it, would four members of the council consider this proposal?
Hang on 1 second, because we were here a month ago, and we told them to show up with a contract that was done. We don't have that tonight. Well, I don't understand how many chances we've got to give you people. I don't want to hear anymore because you've lost me. I was with you up till last month. You've lost me because we've got other people that won't show up down here that had the funds to take over and go and run with this project because we keep giving you guys chance after chance.
Well, unfortunately, we want to get the contract as quicker than you, but we weren't able to speak with the decision maker that could make the decision on that business term, and if we were allowed to do that, we would have...
If the terms were given to you a year ago, what needed to be done?
I wasn't around a year ago on the project, and I'm sorry for that, but we were able to speak to the final decision-making body before this meeting, which would have been our preference, and we asked about a special call, and I'm sorry I'm not familiar with how it operates, but if we could have had a discussion with the decision-making body about this business term, we would have loved to have. Believe me, none of us wanted to come here without a signed contract. We brought the check for $15,000, but we were not able to finalize the contract because we did not have a decision maker that we could speak to.
I guess we need to see if we have enough people to keep moving forward with this then, because then we'll go ahead and take a vote, and if anybody wants to make a comment, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to be for this project with persons that are standing here right now, so I'm out.
Mr. Shelley, anything from you?
I have the same sentiment, same thing I expressed at the last meeting that we had here. It's going too slow, and the terms were set forth a while back that you were getting a discounted price, and we were going to provide the financing in exchange for a bowling alley. That was the deal, and now it's still kind of that, but you're changing some of the fundamental terms of what we were looking for, and so it's a slippery slope that we just keep on having changes made, and I'm ready to see what else we can find out there.
You better go get the mayor, so you have a tiebreaker, because I have a feeling. Anybody else comments? Yes, ma'am.
With all respect, I never saw the urgency as to why we were pushing so hard, so fast to have a completed contract, and maybe it's because I work with contracts every day. I know how hard they are, and I know how hard it is to bring everybody to the table, and you negotiate, you go back, you negotiate, you go back. So, you know how I feel about the responsibility. We talked about the money responsibility with HUD. I could agree to, after the bowling alley was finished, and after you had maybe a 4-month period of time where you open the bowling alley and see what's going on, then the 4 consecutive quarters, but I still would like to see it brought back before council and have an audit done to make sure that what you're telling us is right and wrong. And if you're going to do that, then we're going to have probably some reports filed to make sure that you're operating the bowling alley as it should be done, if that's what you're asking. So those would be my, but I think they're all workable things. I think we could come to terms on that. But you are going to have to, you got some tough cookies up here that you're going to have to crumble, because again, I don't know why there was such an urgency. I mean, I know that there was one entity who was interested in our bowling alley, but they had already told our city manager, I believe, and please tell me if I misspeak, that even if they entered into an agreement with us, they were going to wait 9 months before they ever got back to us on anything or even made us an offer. Is that still the same?
At the time, they had said they would need a due diligence period of 9 months.
So, I mean, to me, we have people standing here at the podium. We're so close. But you got to stop asking for everything. You've got to start playing ball.
Can I make a clarification for you? Because when we discussed and we put the viability in, one of the things that we did, which is what you're talking about, is that we would pay for a mutually agreed private CPA firm to audit our books to show you that we're in that condition. But we're not just going to come to you and say, here you are, we're in trouble. We would pay to have, a reputable CPA firm that is agreeable to both sides, if we ever got to that point, to actually do the analysis, do the audit of the books, and come to you as a third-party independent and say, they're fine, you don't need to do anything, or yes, they have a problem. We're willing to work and make those terms more agreeable.
And I would be willing to work with you on those terms, but it's time to step up to the plate and finalize the contract and stop going back and forth and
We agree 100%.
okay, that's my opinion.
Just a brief comment, and I think we're going to wrap it up, and that is, I think that you're trying to foresee too many things down the road, and you need to just step up, as they've said here several times. Let's move forward with this. Let's get on down the road, and we're telling you here tonight that if something comes up in the next 2 years that just doesn't fly, the door's open. You can come in and talk with us. I don't know where you're not hearing that. I mean, I think we need to make a decision here tonight. Let you guys get going down the road and let us get on the road and do what we're going to do.
I guess that's where the problem is. We're asking, we're putting our own money in, we're asking our investors to put in $4.5 million, and believe me, I do believe you guys would work with us if things went awry, but we're not able to go to our investors and say that if this thing goes awry, we are at the mercy of what the city council, decides. And if you guys hold us to that restriction, and we have to have a bowling alley, and we've lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the only way to keep it open is to fund hundreds of thousands of dollars into it, potentially more than that. I won't be able to, we won't be able to raise more money to keep it operating. We'll have to fold up, and then we'll be $5 million gone without any viable exit.
Richard, find me one legal word. Find me a simple couple legal words that satisfy them and satisfy us. That what if, when in 2 years, this happens and they need to switch it to a...
But I think you're out, Mayor, but what I had suggested was that we're giving them basically an advantageous price, selling an advantageous price, and we're financing it for them. If it doesn't work for them, what I had suggested to them is that they then buy it from us at fair market value so that the city's not giving them an advantageous price and we're not giving them financing. And I thought that would put them in the position as if they had the cash to buy it today. So basically, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, it's not working. They come to us. They show us that it's not working. I think that's quite complicated, but let's assume that you could do that. Then they have the right to change the use, provided that they pay us fair market value. And I talked to Mr. Kaufman about getting a mutually agreed upon, appraiser to appraise the property. And they're going to have to get their own financing. That puts them in the same position as if they had purchased the property. I mean, that's the only creative thing that I came up with to solve their problem. The other thing is that they have the right to change the use with the approval of the city council, just like that.
Or there's another option, which is if you're unhappy with the 4 quarters, is there a longer period of time that makes you more comfortable? The dilemma for us has been, what is a reasonable amount of time to force them to run a bowling alley if it's not working? And I think if your expectation is 7 years, it's going to be very unlikely to find another entity that'll guarantee you run a business for 7 years if it's losing money. So I think that's really the dilemma. If not them, where do we go from here if that's a criteria going down in the future?
The other thing is maybe there's some lesser period of time. Maybe they need to run it as a bowling alley for a certain period of time, and then after that, provided they show that there's an economic problem there, they come to the city council, and the city council then would have the ability to say, okay, we approve you transferring it to another use.
Just one more point, if I may. With all due respect, I think it's too late in the game to be changing the rules about purchasing it outright because you haven't been telling that to your investors. That's just my opinion. Maybe you will surprise me and want to do that, but
I wasn't suggesting that they do that now.
Okay.
I was suggesting that if they come to us and they say it's not economically viable.
But by that time, they won't be able to get financed.
Well,
I've been in this business way too long. I just think we're very, very close, and we just need to work it out. And maybe everybody's tired. Everybody's been working all weekend and working hard to bring all these things to the table, which Mayor, in January, I'm going to bring something up about putting things on the agenda at the last minute and putting things before us, at the last minute when we don't have time to read them. But I just, I hope that this council will give them a chance to try to work it out. But this is the last chance for me.
I will say this, if you're going to send us back to negotiate with them, there's got to be some determination from the council that this concept of economic viability and changing the use is something that you would consider approving a contract with.
If
the
it's
council's
3
not-
years, is it 2 years, is it 5 years, something to give us at least some parameters. I think there's some flexibility in their position,
Yes.
but I don't really know what'll satisfy you all, so it's no sense 2 years, you're saying 2 years. In addition to from the time of opening.
Basically, where Mr. Bettis is going is that we've tried to pull this together to present to you, but it's not so much that we don't have some agreements, it's just that we came and decided that we were much better off, even though, and I understand we had the discussion about your concern 3 days ago, that when we walked in here, we were just going to go and out the door, because we understand where y'all are at, and what we tried to do, we came to a decision amongst all of us, Lily and everybody, that we were better off, rather than just trashing this whole thing, to come to you and say, look, we're down to basically 1 point. We need your guidance as the council, because this is a business decision that affects everybody in Homestead, and including you personally and you as council, it's a hard one for me, council persons, to make a decision. So we felt we were better off coming to you and saying, here's where we're at, 1 point with a couple little sub-issues, give us some direction. If you say, no, we don't want to do that, we're at an impasse, and we shake hands and go to our, or you say yes, and then we'll sit down, Lily and I will sit down, we'll knock out the points, we'll go back to the city manager and the city attorney and my folks, and we'll find a way to put this thing together to bring you a signed deal with a check from our side that all you have to do is sign. That's really where we're trying to head with this as quickly as possible.
Mr. Mayor, if I can make a comment. The problem I have with this process is that it's taken so incredibly long. And we're talking tonight that if we could just solve this one deal, this one little thing that we're talking about now, everything would be perfect. But that's not the case. I haven't seen a contract. I don't even know if I'm acceptable to the rest of the deal. I have no idea what the deal is on paper, in writing. And so if we were to even come up with an agreement or direction for city manager tonight, then that would get incorporated into an agreement, which then would come before us, that then we would all look at, and maybe we would agree to, but there's just as good of a possibility that some of us are not going to agree with the terms that are on the paper, and now we're talking about new terms. And all that does is get us to a framework to implement. You haven't even qualified for financing. There's still a financing contingency that goes into place after this signed contract. So you're talking this one little thing, but there's so many other things that follow it that we're not even on the same page possibly on. And so again, we're just getting month after month after a month, and it's not working for me. That's my problem with this. Now again, I'm not against what you guys are trying to do. I want to see if there's somebody else that can come to the table faster with the financing, maybe pay us fair market value, maybe, in that case, there's a shorter time period that it has to be enrolled out. There's so many other things that maybe could work out as a deal, but this isn't working. I mean, it's just, that's my problem. It's not just tonight. There's a whole list of things that have to fall into place after tonight, and I can't keep waiting around and hoping that each night something goes right.
Is there a way that we could meet sooner than the next month's meeting? I mean, if we're, like you say, the issue is that we need feedback from the group, but we can't get the feedback until we get to the next monthly meeting. So, I mean, we're trying to negotiate, but if the city attorney and the city manager need guidance, then we're back to standing here in front of you a month later and you saying, well, a month has passed and what have you accomplished? And if there's a way that we could, meet, I know that I'm not politically savvy, and I know I've learned a lot from the city manager and the city attorney about the political process as to how we can communicate with you.
But if you stay here tonight and say, we'll meet if you give the city attorney guidance as to these issues that we spoke about, and we agree to meet with you in 7 days, or in a special call meeting, or at the next meeting that you have, that it's appropriate to discuss it amongst all the members, we won't have to wait a month to talk about it, and we'll move the process along faster. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Where are we at? Well, I mean, I think that you should take a sense of the board to determine whether the council is interested in pursuing a contract that has this economic viability out for them. If you don't, then I think they know where you are. But to send us back to negotiate without having that issue, and it's just a broad concept. We can work around it. But is that acceptable to a majority of the council?
Sure. Let's see a show of hands of who's acceptable to this new caveat that they want placed in the contract. I personally don't have a problem. I think you can work it out. So I'm in favor of it. There's one. Go ahead. But they need some direction, and we need to get moving.
I know, and I understand, and I feel your pain here, because with only having one council meeting and one cow meeting a month, and you have to come to us, I understand that. Are you saying that we agree with the 4 quarters starting right now?
What I'm saying, no. What I'm saying
know we don't agree with
conceptually, they will not enter into a contract with us.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Unless there's this economic viability out for operation of the bowling.
And I have no
What I'm saying is we're going to turn it back over to the attorney again to try to come with compromise between what we're asking for and what they're asking for.
Okay.
That sounds logical to us, but I don't know who's doing what for Christmas, but I can tell you we're not going to accomplish a lot between now and the first of the year.
Anyway.
So I don't know who we're sending away without somebody working on something. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
Well,
I don't see the door being knocked down by 10 other bowling alleys right now. But
I'm going to raise my hand, Mayor.
So there's two other.
I say we move forward with a little bit more work. We've come a long ways. Hold on. We've come a long ways. I think we're almost there. Where are we at, Mr. Maldonado? We're going to look at it a little bit longer. We're going to check. Which way are you at? Where are you at?
Yeah, I threw my chips in with them last time, so. I did at first, but I turned around and I said, listen, we're this far down the line.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm looking at the base issue. What's the time issue here? I still think it's great for the community. I know what you guys are saying as a business. You want to find a way out.
So the first of your meeting, 30 days. So next council. You need one more. Okay, Mr. You're on 2, 3. You win. You ran around.
Very difficult. This is very difficult for me because I have been inundated with calls from residents who want to see this bowling alley, come to full fruition. But at the end of the day, it seems like you're really struggling to make it happen. So this has been 2 strikes for me. I'll give you another chance. 3 strikes, you're out.
Okay, there's 4 votes there. Last comments.
Do we still get the check tonight?
Do we still get the check tonight? No, John wants the check. John wants, leave the check in the hands of the manager. He's a trustworthy. Come on, give him the check. Give him the check.
Let's move on to additions to...
You got 4. All right, thank you guys very much.
We got to do additions, deletions, and deferrals first. Additions, deletions, and deferrals.
Okay, the last 2 items are just council ratification. You can do them together.
Take them together.
We can't do them together. You can do them together, which are council ratifications of the lease on the for the Shotgun House Charter School and the Dade medical option to purchase.
Yes,
actually, they're both important. You should take 2 separate votes.
Okay, we'll take 2 separate votes.
So you need a motion to approve the
I'll move it.
charter school and the shotgun property.
Second. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman.
Unless, I guess nobody has any more questions, right? It's just on what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, we should also,
Do you need to read anything?
No.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams, absent. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, second one, please.
And then the second item is the option to purchase agreement with Dade Medical College.
So moved.
Second, thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Any business from the manager? City Attorney's report?
I have a detailed report, which would take over an hour, but I'll defer it.
Let's hear it. Thank you. And Mayor, Ms. Waldman had requested that she could go so she could get out of here, so.
I appreciate it so much. My mother is in the emergency room, and I'm trying to focus on what I need to do. Mr. Gallo, Juan Gallo, is the manager for the new Walgreens on North Canal and 162nd Avenue, and the store is going to be opening in about a week, and they'll have the grand opening in January, but Mayor, they've asked us to do the ribbon cutting, so I'll be in touch. Nobody's listening to me, but anyway, I'll make that happen. Also, I just wanted to mention that our City of Homestead and Homestead Main Street invite you to the 4th Annual Greenway Bike Festival, and here's a sample of what our poster is going to look like. And I wanted to do something really special this year because we all love our Sally Woods, and Sally was the director and secretary of the Dr. Paul Dudley National Bicycling Foundation. So we're doing the bike festival in memory of our Sally Woods. And Alan and her children are just thrilled about it, and they're going to participate, and I think it's going to be extra special because we're doing this for our Sally. And also, I wanted to say that the last 2 days I've been an elf. I've been buying Christmas presents for the soup kitchen and for some of the local churches. So my house looks like a mess, but I'm calling it a winter wonderland with toys everywhere. And I'm hoping that if there's anybody out there watching this, that if you want to donate some toys, we'll be going down on the 22nd to the soup kitchen to sort all the toys out, and I have the real Santa Claus from North Pole coming to the soup kitchen at 11:30 on the 23rd. That's when they're serving Christmas dinner, and so we'll be there. I'll be there. Hopefully my mom will be okay. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and please just say a little prayer for my mom. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Wallman. Councilman Fairclough McCormick.
I defer until next month.
All right. Councilman Williams here, Maldonado. Councilman Maldonado.
Who skipped McCormick?
She skipped herself.
Or she deferred?
I defer.
She deferred.
To the chief, city manager, just to follow up on Waterstone Way on 312. I know the signs were put up for the non-parking on the right-hand side. We've had we were having some issues with families traveling back and forth on that street. If we could do a follow-up with us in reference to kind of the speeding there, I still see it. I'm still seeing families cross over. We know the sign's there, so we could look into the enforcement issue, or at least follow. I'd really appreciate that. I also saw some lights on 312th Street by the in front of where the new Marriott's coming. They were out, so I just wanted to point that out. And also over at I was walking over by Dade Medical College, and I spoke to the security person there, the security guard, and he had mentioned there was some lights out in the downtown area as well. So we could just kind of look at those at nighttime. The second week of January, I'm hoping to hold my education committee meeting. We didn't hold it the last month nor this month because of the holidays. So the second week of January, we're hoping to hold Education Committee meeting, so anyone who's interested in attending, please show up. Other than that, I just want to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It's been a great year. It's been a tough year, but at the end of the day, we can say we made it because the year is wrapping up. So I appreciate this, the mayor and council and staff and all the hard work you've done for this community for the past years. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Take care.
Thank you. Mr. Shelley. Just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you next year. Thank you, sir. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let everybody know in the community, I know that people still have problems with their bulk trash and recycled trash, so when you get your electric bills that come out at the end of the month, please pay attention, because inside will be a leaflet for both of them that you can attach to your refrigerator that hopefully will go to the right zones. I've been promised they're going to the right zones. And we'll tell everybody exactly when the pickup is, because I know it's a problem throughout the city. People get a little bit confused with a fifth week in there and stuff like that. So I want to thank the staff, Richard, who's not here tonight, and everybody else, Julio, and everybody, Mr. Gretzis, and everybody that worked on that and got that done for me. So thank you, and for the whole community. And then just one other thing. I know that I spoke to Mr. Brea about it. I see that the Everglades Academy is up and going over there and clearing the land. And I just want to make sure that we're paying attention and we're getting the stuff done that we need to get done, that we made promises to our citizens about on Maori Road, and make sure that we don't fall behind the curveball there and end up with a problem when that school opens. I'd like to see us be ahead of the curve instead of falling behind and trying to catch up. So if you could just keep us up to date on that and make sure things are moving accordingly and all that, I certainly would appreciate it. And with that said, I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday and enjoy the time with their families and have a nice time. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have just a couple appointments that I need to make. The elected officials, Senior Management Pension Board, Councilman Shelley, Frank Bush. You know what's your appointment? Okay, Frank Bush. All in favor? Aye. Nays? Okay, motion carries. And we need, I'd like to ask Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick if she would handle the CRA grant disbursement committee for the nonprofits that we do once a year. Okay. All right, with that said, and I'd like to just thank staff and all of my council members for working so diligently to make Homestead a better place this last year. We've accomplished so much, and I'm so proud of council and happy with staff and what we've accomplished. I think it's been a tremendous joint effort. And I'd like to say to each and every one of you, please have a very safe and happy holiday. And to our citizens watching tonight, please enjoy your holiday. And this is a time for giving, and let's think of those who are less fortunate than us and reach out and help somebody during this holiday season. I thank you all very much, and good night. Motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.